and learning out new information and just helping each other out, learn more about each other. So we definitely have things to live for, and we're happy people. What does this mean? Can we get along? This comment says, I think atheists are just as annoying as fundamental Christians. Well, the important thing is that you found a way that feels superior to both. So we don't want anyone to fall into that category. We still want to learn about each other and not get complacent. So I think that might be it. There might be something else. Good things, talk and listening. You guys probably already know these things because you're here. Some people that I didn't mention were Hovind and Antiques Genesis, and some organizations like that we don't like to hear. But other than that, it's just common sense. We can definitely go along, and I think there's good promise. And that's the end. Does anybody else have anything to add? All right.
Thank you for taking the time to share, and we're going to hear from our Crosspoint friends. Do you guys have a microphone that's working for you? That's what I love to see. All right, talk with Bucket Lives.
Good evening. We're the students representing Crosspoint Church. My name is Adam Lynch, and I'm a junior construction management student from Fort Mill.
Hey, what's up? My name is David. I am a junior in finance.
And my name is John, and I'm a junior in political science.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a senior in chemical engineering.
Hey, I'm Brent. Since we're sharing majors here, I'm a senior in industrial engineering. Thank you all very much for coming out. This is awesome just to see the packed house here. And it really does mean a lot to us. And I'm going to pass this back over to David, who is going to share about some misconceptions from Christianity.
Yeah, like Brent said, SSA, definitely thank you for setting this up. We're thrilled to be here. RUF, thank you for graciously letting us use this room. And our local law enforcement, thank you as well. We do hope you won't be necessary. All right, good. So, like I said, we're thrilled to be here. We do hope that this discussion is the first of many discussions, just on the issue of God and things like that. I think just the fact that all of us are here, we see that the issue of God is a very important thing. I would even go so far as to say that what you believe about God is the most important and defining thing about you. And even more specifically, what you believe about Jesus Christ will shape the way you live life. And although atheists and Christians fall on different sides of the fence when it comes to belief in God or belief in who Jesus was, I think something that's often kind of swept under the rug or minimized is just the fact that we really do have a lot of things in common. One, we're both very skeptical of people who claim to believe something and then don't really give reasons for backing it up. We both are on the same team in the sense that we're searching for truth, and we desire to line our lives up with that which is true. Not just with what people have told us is true, or with what we want to believe is true, but we want to align our lives up with that which actually corresponds with reality. But tonight's about misconceptions, and there are a myriad of misconceptions when it comes to Christianity. But I think the main one we're going to talk about tonight is an issue that's really, foundational to Christianity, and I think it clears up a lot of misconceptions just even talking about and clarifying this one misconception. And that misconception is just on the issue of faith. I hate the word faith. And it's not because it's unimportant to Christianity, but it's because it is so important to Christianity, yet it is so often misunderstood and misused. When people talk about faith, they think of phrases like, faith is what people go to when they don't have anything else. Faith is believing something despite what the evidence tells you. Or faith is believing something you know isn't true. But is this really the Christian view of faith? And although, this may be some Christians' view of faith, or that might be what they imply as their view of faith, this is not the Christian view of faith. Faith is not at odds with reason. So the big question from that is, what is faith? What is the Christian view of faith? I think a great definition is faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's from Hebrews chapter 11. I think, now obviously, the big question many are wondering is, all right, how can you be assured of something that you hope for? How can you be convinced of something that you don't see? It sounds a lot like wishful thinking, or merely believing something because you hope that it's true. But in reality, faith is not just having assurance that, say, Clemson will get a hit in the bottom of the 10th against Coastal Carolina, or that you'll do well in your test that you studied for. But faith is much more than that. It's more than just an intellectual belief in a positive outcome. So the question is, how can Christians be sure of something they haven't seen? How can they hold to a belief system while there's still questions they have about it? How can they say something is true when they haven't experienced it? The answer here is trust. I think trust is a lot better definition of what faith is than the aforementioned 3 quotes that come to people's mind. Faith is putting confidence in someone's trustworthiness. Faith, it points back to a person. It's believing someone because they are trustworthy. And if trust is the definition of faith, then faith is not something that's just restricted to Christianity. It's more universal. I mean, think about it. Whether you realize it or not, when you take someone at their word and you believe them because they say something when they talk about issues that are not in your area of expertise, and you take them at their word, you're exhibiting faith. It's like when you read something and you believe it. Why do you believe it? Is it because you've talked with the person, the author? Have you touched him? Have you seen him? Many times the answer is no. So why do you believe him? It's because in your eyes, he's trustworthy. Now, of course, whether you believe he is trustworthy or not, that doesn't make him trustworthy. Your beliefs about something doesn't change reality. You can either align your life with reality or reject it. So really, Christianity, when it comes to faith in God, the question is there a foundation to trust in God? Is there a foundation to trust the Bible and what it says about God? Now, we could devote a whole night to talking about misconceptions about the Bible. So we're going to, just name just one, and we can work from there. But I think one misconception that needs to be cleared up is the Bible isn't just another book that can be lumped in with all other religious books, as Dr. Vodi Baucham has put it. The Bible is it's a reliable collection of historical documents, carefully transcribed, written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. It reports to us supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies. It claims to be divine rather than just human in origin. But in reality, Christianity, it's not just a lesson in historical facts. It's while reason and evidence point to God, just naming all facts about Jesus is not what Christianity is all about. It's about knowing Jesus Christ. And though the resurrection is as much of a historical fact as the Civil War, the fact that there's reason and evidence in support of the biblical account of the life of Jesus is not the message of Christianity. The message of Christianity is the gospel, and Adam's going to share more what that is.
Christians believe that there is one God, and he can be known. He has revealed himself in creation, he has revealed himself in his word, the Bible, and he has revealed himself in the hearts of mankind. We believe that God created man in his image, with dignity and purpose. That purpose was to know him and to glorify and enjoy him forever. And in this purpose lies our problem. Christians believe that all people have rebelled against God. We have disobeyed him, and we have sought to live for our own glory, our own enjoyment, our own purposes. Instead of subjecting our lives to God's law, we have sought to become our own lawgivers and to live as seems right in our own eyes. And the Bible defines this as sin. And the penalty for sin is death, both physical and spiritual. And death means separation, and the Bible tells us that all have sinned, so all will die. So the dilemma is that mankind, who is created to know, glorify, and enjoy God forever, is now alienated from him. And in ourselves, our situation is hopeless. We all owe a debt to God we cannot pay, and there is a price on our heads. But there is good news. God sent his Son, Jesus Christ, into the world. Jesus Christ was fully God, and he was fully man. He was born of a virgin, so he was not born into the sin that has plagued man and that is man. Jesus Christ lived for approximately 33 years. During that time, the Bible tells us he lived a perfect life. He never once sinned, he never once disobeyed or rebelled against God. He always subjected himself to the purposes and the will of God his Father, and not his own. He then went to a cross. He was nailed to the cross. And on the cross, Jesus, the one who knew no sin, became sin. He stood in our place, and he was a substitute for you and I. And on the cross, the wrath of God that we all deserved, because we have sinned against him, fell upon Jesus. Jesus bore the wrath of God. He died. And on the third day, he rose again from the grave. He appeared to over 500 eyewitnesses. He commissioned his disciples. We then believe that he ascended to heaven, and he sits at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. He is King of kings and Lord of lords. And he commands all people everywhere to repent or turn from their sins and believe this message. This message is the gospel. It is the message of Christianity. There are many misconceptions around this. Many people say a Christian is one who was born to Christian parents, who goes to church, who was baptized as an infant, who adheres to a creed, or is confirmed later in life. But the Bible tells us that none of these are the case. A Christian is one who God has convicted of sin. And upon that conviction, they have turned from their sins, they have repented, and they have trusted in Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ alone.
Like any truth claim, when the gospel is talked about, it can either be, a decision has to be made. It can be accepted or rejected. But yeah, like I said, we believe that Jesus was an actual person who actually existed and actually died and rose again. And like I said, even through reason, just because of reason, you can trust the historical accuracy of the biblical account of life of Jesus. But this is where reason stops. And this necessity of faith enters into the equation. Because like Ravi Zacharias has said so well, God has put enough evidence in this world to make belief in him the most reasonable thing. But he has left enough out to make it impossible to live by sheer reason alone. For it is by faith that we believe that what Jesus did actually has any effect on our lives. Reason tells us that he lived and died. It is by faith that we can believe that we are made right in the sight of God. And it is by